I'm standing here like a creep, watching this married couple sleep, and I'm confused. Why are they sleeping in separate beds? I mean, they are husband and wife, right? It says right in their wiki page. They even have a child together. So was this just a goof from the devs part, or is there an actual relationship dynamic behind this? Are they just some random NPCs that were just easier to code into different beds? Or do they have layered behaviors and symptoms that have been affecting their marriage? If so, what's going on in their marriage? In order to find the answers to these questions, I'm gonna stalk each of them through their day and watch their routine and behavior, and also try to find out what they like and don't like, using the persuasion system to get a clear picture of their personality. Okay, let's start with the wife. Who is Alicia Otis? She's the leader of the main temple in the Imperial City and one of the most hated women in Tamriel. If you search her name in Google, the fourth result right after Alicia Otis is a xenophobic biatch is I always kill Alicia Otis to join the Dark Brotherhood. And most of this hate is because of her writings. She's the author of the guidebooks to each city, which are quotes full of bigoted criticism and observation. Now we can find great insights to her worldview through her writing. She's hyper-religious, she's judgmental, and possibly xenophobic. And she seems to be heavily prejudiced against Nords, Orcs, Dark Elves, Khajiits, Argonians, Merchants, Sailors, Arena contestants, beggars, and the Ancient Islets. She also has a deep hatred and distrust of the Mages Guild and the use of magicka, considering mages to be godless. As for her personality, she exhibits textbook signs of obsessive-compulsive tendencies. She's very fixated on cleanliness, order, and moral purity. She kept telling me to get out of her house when I was trespassing. And that kind of obsession with ethics shows up in her books too. For example, in her guide to Imperial City, she describes the market district as a very dirty place with piles of crates lying around in untidy heaps and unwholesome toadstools and fungus growing in clumps and slimy cobbles encrusted with filth. And it's not just about the market district. Out of 7 other districts, 6 of them are either dirty and unkempt, damp and dirty, simply terrible, or are full of beggars and errors. She doesn't just want the city clean, she wants it pure. Dirt isn't just dirt for her. It's a symptom of decay and wrongness. It's symbolic. I'm definitely speculating, but based on her writings, she probably feels like the world is out of place, and only her internal order can fix it. And she's clinging to her version of order so tightly that anything outside of it, like other races or even ideas like magicka and poor people, has to be banned. Give me all your money now. This kind of rigidity in thinking is also a telltale of OCPD. So, now that we know more about her personality, let's stalk her. Now, Alicia has a very strict routine, as expected. She wakes up every day at 6 a.m., goes downstairs, and dissociates for 2 hours straight, while her husband enjoys a 2-hour breakfast in complete silence. At 8 a.m., their routine separates from each other. Her husband Hazel Otis leaves the house, and she continues to stare into a painting, a rug on the wall, her closet, and a stone pillar for the next 6 hours. At 2 p.m., she gets out of the house and heads out to the market district, where she walks around until 5 p.m. Then she goes straight to her house and starts dissociating again. I don't know what I expected actually. Now you might think she's probably waiting for her husband to come back home so they can eat dinner together. But after her husband comes back home, she continues to dissociate with her husband, and they both skip dinner and go to bed at 12 a.m. What the fuck, is this just like an Airbnb for you two? Okay, so knowing her routine gives us valuable insight for analyzing their marriage. But I'm gonna be honest, stalking her didn't give us any new information about her personality. But we still have another source of information. And I really love this one. I don't know if what they done here was intentional or not, but I cannot believe how accurate this is. So, for those of you who don't know, Oblivion has something called the persuasion minigame, which will allow you to gain people's trust through either bribes or persuasion. It works something like this. Once each round, you can select either admire, boast, joke, or coerce. The way you know which of these 4 options will make that character happy or persuade them is by hovering your cursor on them and watch that NPC's reaction and facial expressions. Okay, now in our case, their reaction to jokes tells us about their sense of humor. Admiration shows how much they need validation. Boasting shows how they handle pride and arrogance. And coercion shows how they deal with control or pressure. Well, let's take her reaction to jokes, for example. Most NPCs react well to jokes, but not Alicia. Now, unfortunately, I kind of lost the footage for Alicia's minigame, so I'm gonna become Alicia for a bit. Just a heads up that it's gonna be so ugly. When you hover over the joke option, now admire and boast gets a good reaction, and coerce is a dislike. But joke really pisses her off, and this is such an awesome detail because it says so much. She's so rigid she can't even handle a joke, and it fits perfectly with everything else we've seen about her. Jokes, by their nature, challenge rigidity. They create play, ambiguity, and social warmth. But to her, that likely feels threatening because it's like losing control. She doesn't like being softened. She doesn't enjoy being disarmed. Now, she likes boasting though, which is a bit weird at first glance, right? You don't usually expect someone to enjoy being boasted to, but it actually makes sense when you think about who she is. Alicia's whole worldview is built around hierarchies. So when someone boasts around them, it doesn't necessarily come off as arrogant, and it can actually align with their mindset. Admiration plays right into that too. If you admire her, it affirms her position as a moral and spiritual authority. So of course she likes that too. But again, jokes? That's chaos. That's flattening the hierarchy. It puts people on equal footing. And I believe Alicia hates that. Not because she's joyless, but because joy, unsanctioned, spontaneous joy, feels dangerous to someone who's built their whole identity on structure and restraint. So I think with all of this, we have a clearer picture of Alicia Otis. Also, if you're still watching, please consider subscribing. It would make me very happy. If you subscribe, it would objectively affect my marriage in the future, probably. Now, let's look into her husband. Who is Hazel Otis? Honestly, we don't know. We don't have much information about Hazel Otis. He's just a commoner who's married to Alicia Otis, and he's a devout temple worshipper. So, our main source of information for him is gonna be his daily routine, the persuasion system, and his interactions with Alicia. At 8 a.m., their routine separates from each other. One of the only confirmed facts about Hazel Otis is that he is unemployed. So every morning, he just sort of drifts. He just wanders around the temple district for 4, sometimes 5 hours straight. And usually nothing interesting happens. So you might be asking yourself, why am I still stalking him? I mean, I already stalked his wife and we concluded that surveillance didn't really tell us much about her personality, right? Well, that's because something incredible happens at lunch. Something that finally pays off my 3-hour investment in creeping on this couple.
Go ahead.
Hastrel Otis has an affair. Instead of going home to have lunch with his wife, he strolls into an inn, which is literally right behind his own house, and sits down at a table with another woman. And not just any woman, this is Morana Ryan, the master trainer for the sneak skill. He is having lunch with literally the sneakiest lady in the entire town instead of his own wife. I mean, come on. It's like even the game mechanics are begging me to overanalyze this. This is perfect. So yeah, that's really all we need to know about his routine. The rest of it is basically identical to Alicia's. He spends almost the entire day outside of the house, just wandering. And the only place that he visits is the All Saints Inn, which probably feels like a sort of emotional refuge. It's warm, it's social, there's no Alicia, so we can have an affair. Also, according to Wiki, their daughter visits this inn frequently. It's like they are both avoiding her. And when he's at home, he's just pacing in silence around his own living room, like a Roomba with seasonal depression. They both do this. So what we've laid out here paints the picture of a deeply avoidant man who probably gave up trying to connect with his wife years ago. Now, why is he avoiding his wife so much? You'll get to that in a second. One strange thing about Hastrel is that he doesn't like to be admired.
Not now, not later, not ever.
And I think that little detail gives us a very interesting window to their marriage dynamic.
Really? Interesting.
Now, this doesn't always happen, but sometimes
the partner of someone with OCD can end up feeling inadequate.
Like nothing they do is ever right or enough, especially when the OCD is moralistic or perfectionistic. So they might internalize this and start to believe that they are a burden or a disappointment. So again, this is all a speculation, but I think for Hastrel, it's like admiration makes him uncomfortable because it doesn't feel like he deserves it.
Don't waste your flattery on me.
He's not contributing in a traditional way, like with a job or providing for his family. And maybe he knows that in his wife's eyes, he's falling short. So praise feels hollow or even painful for him. And unlike Alicia, he likes humor, which adds weight to the cold dynamic with his wife. Here, just take a look at this interaction.
Isn't it uncanny how Ida Lenormand moves?
If you want to learn to fall off a building, she's the one to talk to.
Be seeing you.
If someone can't tolerate humor, it's hard to build warmth, especially over time. Jokes are often how couples repair tiny ruptures or relieve tension. And if Alicia can't go there, if even the idea of being joked with triggers defensiveness, then it makes sense that Hastrel has just shut down. Because when there's no room for lightness, you will default to silence. Okay, now I think we have enough information to judge and analyze the relationship between Alicia and Hastrel Otis. So, though technically married, the Otises maintain an emotional intimacy level comparable to two chairs placed near each other. Interactions are brief, impersonal, and devoid of emotional content. One exchange involved her noting the sighting of mud crabs. Her husband replied with this:
I avoid those things whenever I can. Horrible creatures.
Which was neither humorous nor engaged. After hearing her husband's reply, she ended the exchange with a neutral,
Be seeing you.
This pattern of comment, bland acknowledgement, and emotional disengagement mirrors the earliest stages of what Gottman calls the Four Horsemen, particularly stonewalling and emotional withdrawal. There's no active contempt, but there's profound emotional absence. While he clings to avoidance, she clings to order. She can't tolerate mess, and he can't afford to make any. Even jokes can make her angry, because humor invites connection, and connection invites chaos. And chaos is the one thing Alicia cannot allow. Meanwhile, Hastrel has become so emotionally receded, so backgrounded, that you could mistake him for the last functioning lamp in the house. When he's not physically escaping the house, he's orbiting in place, muted, ghost-like. And that one line,
I'm listening.
delivered to Miss Ryan over lunch, might be the most authentic part of him we ever get to see. They sleep in separate beds and do not participate in shared activities beyond breakfast and looking at walls together. There is no visible hostility in their marriage. What exists instead is a kind of shared dissociation. They're not in love, nor in conflict. To borrow Gottman's phrasing, they are two people leading parallel lives with no intentional bridge between them. This is not a marriage, it's a cohabitation. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.